What is going on, everybody? Appreciate you tuning in for another edition of the Passion and Precision podcast. You guys already know how it is. Jory and I come on here. We talk about a lot of the news stories that happen throughout the week that kind of caught our attention, and come on here and give you our honest opinion about it. We do have the third member, Bella. She's around. There you go. Got Bella here. So it's now a full show. We can definitely get started. We will talk some news that happened in the NBA. One, a rescinded trade, an organization that's now dealt with two kind of updates with their player and coach that I feel like we definitely need to talk about. And then we'll touch on some NFL as a star lineman retired, and the kicker from Baltimore, Justin Tucker, in the news again. And then we have final burn at the end. We'll see if we have anybody we want to put out there. But before we get into it, I got my co-host here, Jory. How are you doing tonight?
I'm doing all right. I'm preparing for my birthday. That'll be at the end of the week, but
Yeah.
I'm doing pretty decent.
Okay, that's good. And yeah, so I guess we might as well just get into it. I mean, look, birthdays you always should be preparing to celebrate them. I mean, after a while, you kind of just like, another year older, but still worth celebrating. Start Bobby Portis. So Bobby Portis from the Bucks was suspended the other day for 25 games, and we later found out it was a painkiller that he took, which I believe is also like an opiate. So I guess for that reason he's been suspended. I guess when you saw the news come across, like, what was your first thought? Because we see players kind of do this every once in a while. I feel like not so much in the NBA. This is more so like MLB. We'll see players
Mm.
suspended for taking stuff. Um, I don't even think it happens all that much in the NFL either. In the NFL, I feel like fans are like, if these guys aren't taking something, they're probably crazier than we thought playing that sport. But yeah, what was your initial thought when you saw that Portis was suspended?
I was like, wow. And then I read the apparent reason that he had confused tramadol with Toradol. I'm like,
Hmm.
wow. 25 games for that.
Yeah,
I wish the league was just as harsh on other things that actually matter, but meaning there's certain people on certain rosters that shouldn't be there. I will say that
hmm,
for very valid reasons. So I'm
yes,
like, all over again. I mean, 25 game pop for I'll give it the benefit of a doubt of it being a mistake. Then
right.
shouldn't even be in the league and they're still playing. I just think it's funny the NBA pick and choose what to be
Hmm.
serious about.
Right. And I definitely understand that point of view for sure. I mean, I guess with this with Portis, the league is probably looking at it as have to look out for the player if it is an opiate. Like, you don't want it to, and especially painkillers. We know there are plenty of people who start taking them, get addicted to
Mm-hmm.
them, and that becomes a bigger health problem. So, like I said, Portis made an honest mistake. That's fair. I mean, the 25 games does seem like a lot, especially this time of the year where that's basically going to take you all throughout the regular season. But he does have to be careful with those types of mistakes. Like I said, for most athletes, whatever you put in your body, like you got to make sure it, doesn't violate any policy or something like that.
Right. He needs to be a little bit more
Yeah,
pickier and a little bit more
right.
cognizant.
Because some of these players will, tell somebody that they're dealing with something. Someone will just hand them something, they'll just take it. Then next drug test, they fail. So I don't think it's like a terribly big issue unless it turned into like some league wide thing. It'll just probably be like a one instance, and then we'll probably forget about it in a few weeks or so. But I guess looking on the court, what kind of effect do you think this might have on the Bucks, though, missing Portis for 25 games? They're currently
I think it's going to be season
okay.
altering because he's a big part of what Doc likes to do, especially with a veteran riddled team such as the
Mm-hmm.
Bucks. He's a huge part of it. It's going to alter how they run things going forward. They're not going to get him back until 4 days before the playoffs if they make the play. I mean, I feel like they're going to make the playoffs. Look at their standings, but they could slide.
Yeah.
So I'm like, it's season altering for sure. And you're gonna end up relying on Kyle Kuzma a lot more than I think they would like to
Yeah.
because of it.
Mm-hmm.
Like that's gonna be interesting, even though right now he's playing well. But I've seen what I, I've seen.
Yeah. Because they are sitting, I mean, they're fifth in the East right now. Game and a half up on Detroit, which shout out to Detroit putting pressure on Milwaukee now.
Mm-hmm.
They're also what, 4.5 up on the Magic, who are in seventh, with Bankero just coming back recently. If they go on a run, could the Bucks find themselves out of the top six and back into the play-in by the time Portis gets back? It's a possibility. I mean, I don't know if I could necessarily uh, look to Orlando to make up that kind of ground right now,
I
but
don't.
Detroit is interesting.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, if we get to the end of the year, Detroit's like a top 5 seed in the East. I mean, that's a big step in the right direction for them. Don't mean to be mean here, but if players are getting banned from these leagues for betting on games, players should also be banned for doing stupid things that can hurt themselves and others. I mean, yeah, Damien, I see where you're coming from. I don't know if I would put painkiller necessarily in that category. Like if he was caught with like some hardcore drug, sure. Painkiller, I'm not gonna ban a guy for taking a painkiller.
Right.
Now, if this becomes a
A
multiple time,
habit.
yes, then you can entertain that. I would hope that he's gonna be much more careful about what he takes after this. I do agree with you about the impact on the team because now it's somebody else that Doc's gonna have to replace in the rotation. We'll have to see who he decides to go to for that, and whether or not that player will be able to fill the role that Portis is going to leave vacant right now. Because they are only a half game behind the Pacers for fourth. So I think it will be interesting to see after the 25 games where the Bucks are in relation to where they are today. So they're 7 games above 500. They're kind of lingering in, I guess, being a contender somewhat. Like, do you think the Bucks are contenders in the East?
No.
Okay. I guess I always give Giannis the benefit of the doubt.
Yeah, but at the same time, you can't just rely on Giannis and Dame and Kyle Kuzma.
That is also very true. Yeah. Yeah. I mean, they kind of made a habit of it, so I guess I just assume they're always going to be Giannis and Dame dependent, and Giannis with his ability can drag this team to a certain point.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, yeah, there's between fifth and sixth is fifth or even fourth. Like you get the Pacers first round, maybe even the Pistons, then the Cavs in the second round, and you could avoid the Celtics until the conference finals because we know the Celtics have had their number. But I think if you're the Bucks, you look at these other teams like the Knicks probably shouldn't scare you, and the Cavs. We both said it enough times. Like the Cavs have to still prove it in the playoffs. They look good right now, but we need to see them in June playing like
Mhm.
this. Okay, let's go. I mean, anything else you want to add about Bobby Portis before we move on?
Mm, no, I'm good. He'll
Okay.
be all right.
Yeah. San Antonio. So we learned earlier about Wemby being shut down for uh, DVT, deep vein thrombosis in his shoulder. So that's kind of been the news of the Spurs. We're like, okay. And then we learned earlier today, not that long ago, Pop's not going to return the rest of the season. He had his own health scare earlier in the year. And with him being out the rest of the year, now there's going to be questions about whether or not he ever comes back. We know he's getting up there. Feel like we're at a point where it's only a matter of time before Popovich retires and passes it on to, one of his young disciples who've been kind of with him all these years. I'm trying to see where to start. I guess we'll start with Wemby and then get back to Popovich. For Wemby, how concerned should Spurs fans and NBA fans be with the diagnosis that Wemby is now taking on?
Very. They should be very concerned. What's up, Trajan? Uh, and even though, yes, they found it in his shoulder, and that's kind of an uncommon but not rare occurrence,
Mm-hmm.
it's still serious. Your shoulder's closer to your heart.
Yeah.
That spot that pretty much ended Chris Bosh's career. They have to be very careful about how they treat this
Mm-hmm.
because it'll because because if you think about Chris Bosh, it got to the point where he could no longer fly.
Mm-hmm.
So you got to think about that. He could develop a pulmonary embolism, and that's even more
Mm-hmm.
serious. He probably won't be able to play anymore if he develops one of those.
Yeah. You probably can't play in Denver.
So they have to be very right. They have to be very careful. This is a very delicate situation.
I agree. Like, and the Bosch part, since it is like it hasn't been so long now that Bosch had to kind of hang it up because of this, that I think it is also should be concerning. Like, he's so young. I feel like with his ability and what he's shown so far, I think people are ready to put a lot on his shoulders, whether it's bringing the Spurs back to prominence or being the face of the league, all this kind of stuff. And unfortunately, that's going to take a backseat to something that's way more serious, which is his actual health. Now, hopefully, it's something where they catch it early enough, they can kind of, manage it a little bit better, and he can continue on. But you know, him stepping away for the rest of the season makes a lot of sense. Like, no point in being cryptic about it, having people wonder like how bad is it? Is he going to come back? They've already come up to like he's done for the year. Like, those questions are gone. But I think people are going to keep keeping an eye on any updates in terms of how bad is it getting worse or something like that. Because yeah, the Bosch stuff was tough to see. Bosch clearly wanted to keep playing, but because of the condition, like it was very difficult for him. Like I said, it's not just flying Because even if you're like on a road trip or something and you bust into um, Denver because of the high altitude, you can't take that risk. Because Ryan Clark, I think, had it in the NFL too, and he couldn't play
Mm-hmm.
against the Broncos on the road because of it. So yeah, hopefully he has a full recovery and can get back to basketball. But yes, it's definitely concerning. And Trajan saying that Pop might be done too.
I think he
Yeah,
is.
I think this should be the sign that he needs to hang it up. He's had a well decorated career and focus on his health. So, I mean, there's no question about Pop's legacy. Badgers blew a 17-point lead with the basketball's back, so yeah, it's been that kind of day. Spurs have no chance of making the playoffs, so they wouldn't need him that bad anyway. I wouldn't say there's no chance.
I feel like when they said, yeah, I feel like when they said it was a mild stroke that they lied. It was more serious than what we initially thought.
I mean, I'm kind of at the point where it's like stroke, mild or serious. Like, I don't think there's really like if I hear mild stroke, I would still think like, not exactly the best thing to have happen to you. Yes, I said his advanced age and everything like
Right.
that. I mean, maybe he's had some complications from it, and maybe that's where this is leading. Because yeah, to go from
Mm-hmm.
that to now this point, you feel like there's something that happened in between that maybe we
I
don't know
think
about.
he might actually be forced to medically retire. I don't think we've ever seen a coach do that. Well, I've never
Hmm.
seen a coach do that. You may have, but I have not.
I can't think of one. There probably has been. Pop is like Ric Flair. That man won't retire. Because I mean, the part of it also is being a coach, long hours, day in, day out, months at a time, all of that, stress and all that it puts on your body. Yeah, I think this is it. I think this is it for Pop. I kind of wouldn't be surprised if, we get some statement here shortly, like he's going to retire at the end of the season, which we know he won't be coaching the rest of the season. So basically just retiring now. And we got John and Trajan with their back and forth. I mean, if you've seen Trajan's show, John is a big Oregon fan, Trajan Wisconsin fan. So yeah, there's history there. So yeah,
I don't get it. I'm an SEC person. I
I
don't
mean,
get it.
mm, I'm BC, so I really don't get it because BC's not relevant in anything.
Is that kind of like Georgia? Is that kind of like Bama, Tennessee?
Well, um, no, because even Wisconsin, Oregon, only because Oregon's now in the Big Ten, kind of got to let that one breathe a little bit before it turns into a Bama, Tennessee, or Bama, Auburn, something like that.
Oh, that's for
Like
baby
this would be
rivalry.
like
Never mind.
Bama, Texas. It hasn't really developed into anything,
Bye.
but they're big name programs.
Bama, Texas is a rivalry because of
Mm,
2009.
yes, but I'm just
It's
saying that it's
been
going to be
kind of
even
like
more
that
now
before.
because now that Texas is actually in the SEC, like it's going to take off now. So
Unfortunately.
hey, it's the perils of being in a conference that gets a lot of respect amongst voters. So everybody's trying to get up in there now. Saw someone posted on their YouTube channel, community tab, a report that Pop is supposed to get an extension. We can probably say that probably shouldn't happen. Let's see, Brendan, new to the channel. What's it all? What's going on, Brendan? I mean, it's just well,
Welcome.
this show, Jory and I just talk about the latest news around sports. I'm assuming maybe from my channel, it's sports related. some other stuff mixed in. But yeah, hopefully you enjoyed. I mean, appreciate you, coming on in and checking us out. Hopefully, give you a reason to come back again next week. It's more like Oklahoma versus A&M. It's all love for the game and trash talking. So there you go. That's John's comparison: Oklahoma and A&M.
I didn't know that was a thing either.
I mean, it's yeah. Well, Texas Oklahoma brings about its own rivalry to begin with because, like, I'm a Boston fan. I can't stand any of the New York teams. New York and Boston have a big rivalry. Boston and Philly do as well, but Boston New York one is just that much more hated. Like Georgia New Orleans. That's a rivalry. Oh, I told John to come back with this, and of course he did. Who would y'all like for your NFL team to draft in the first round?
Come back Thursday for that. I'm not ready for that.
Yeah, yeah. John will do that next week, next Thursday. I mean, I have an idea for the Patriots on a couple of people, but I think I need to settle in on one. Yeah.
I'm just here for the good. I'm here for the vibes
Mm-hmm.
and the forced coverage of the Titans for 3.5 months.
Well, I feel like the draft, for teams that didn't make the playoffs or anything like this is something to get excited for. Because now you're watching, like, if your team picks the right person, you're excited. You get even more excited. If they pick somebody you didn't like, then you're like, oh, great, we're off to this kind of start, and it can temper your excitement. Like, let's say the Titans took Shador number one. What would your reaction be?
A quarterback, yay!
Okay. If they took a dual Carter, what would your reaction be?
I'd probably be just as excited. Literally.
Okay.
No, yeah, it's still a school. Unfortunately, Damien.
There you go.
Unfortunately, that school is still a school. It hasn't gone full blown cultish yet.
I mean, A&M catching the strays from everybody.
They're
All right.
weird.
I didn't know A&M was viewed like
They are weirdos.
that. Okay. I did not know. I did not know that. Hmm. Okay. Who knew? Um. Let's see. All right. So this one, next story, is gonna hit close to home for you, Jory. Mark Williams' agent. Like, we didn't have enough of a circus around the rescinded trade. Mark Williams' agent decides to come out of the woodwork and go, the Lakers were wrong to fail my client. He should have passed the physical. And I guess he's trying to say the Lakers did Mark Williams wrong by failing him, sending him back, which I'm just like, why would they do that? They clearly needed the big. I would have thought they would have looked the other way if they found something that was a little sketchy and been like, we do need him. But they clearly found enough that they were like, we're not going to waste our time with this. So you as a Laker fan, when you hear the agent speak, does it make you, one, question the Lakers medical staff, or two, tell Mark Williams' agent, just get over
We
it?
need to get a damn grip.
Like, does it make you? I guess I know you're probably gonna look at the agent, but does it make you look at the Lakers staff in any way and wonder?
A little, but at the same time,
Okay.
they probably have different standards. Saying they probably,
Mm-hmm.
how am I gonna word this? They have their definite own version of ready to play, something that we can work with. They have their own type of level of gauge on how they view a player. You know what I'm talking about?
Mm-hmm.
So I'm like, why is this agent trying to mitigate damages in the court of public opinion.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it just seemed like the timing of it. It's like the trade happened, been rescinded. Who cares at this point?
Who cares?
Like Mark Williams is back in Charlotte. Worry about, if you're trying to get him out of Charlotte, then go work on that. No need to come out and talk about, oh, the Lakers did him wrong. He should have passed. Clearly, they have. I mean, I would like to think the Lakers have licensed doctors and everything who would know how to read a physical and
Like,
portray
what
that
do you look like
this
trying to
guy is not going to be
question
healthy.
medical professionals, you dimwit? Like, what a moronic thing to do.
Mm-hmm. Right. Well, Luka and LeBron finally meshed. We can touch on that in a little bit here. Each team doctor have their own guidelines, and who said once he got in LA, Braun or a coach had a bad day with him and went above and said, "Hey, feel this guy." Okay, John, I'd be giving LeBron way too much credit. But I did want to go back to Brendan's question because he had a question about Wemby as we were transitioning. Because we did touch on this a little bit. So since he's
Mm-hmm.
new, Brendan, once again, appreciate that. Wemby's out for the season. Has a lot of people worried that collect his cards. But thoughts on his recovery?
It's a delicate process. They can't just treat this like they can't treat this like a soft tissue injury. It's not. This has
Mm-hmm.
the potential to ruin his career or end it.
Right. Because it did it for Chris Bosh.
That's exactly what happened with Chris Bosh. And with Chris Bosh, he he can't go to places like Denver. He has a pulmonary embolism.
Mm-hmm.
He can't fly.
If they want to play in it like internationally, like
He
Mexico
couldn't do
City,
it.
can't do that.
So yes, this is recovery for him. It's going to be a delicate process. They're going to have to be very
Yeah.
fragile when it comes to it.
Mm-hmm. All right. Let's see other questions in here. Okay, I'll let you answer this one, Laker fan. Will Luka and LeBron
Give it
finally
some
mesh?
time. It's what, 4 games in?
Mm-hmm.
I'm like, that was not a move for this year, really. That was a move for next year and beyond. You got to give it a little bit of time. And because
Yes.
they're changing the roster around actively, or they were. I'd give this a. They'll start to mesh at the end of this season. Do whatever they do in the playoffs,
Mm-hmm.
because we're going to the playoffs. I will be that Laker fan,
Mm-hmm.
and we won't be in the play-in. Finally,
Yeah. I mean, yeah. Lakers are fifth. They're a game behind the Rockets for fourth. 3 behind the Nuggets for third. And they have a bit of a cushion, being 3.5 up on the Wolves and Mavericks, who are in seventh and eighth. So they got some room to play with. And I agree with you. The Luka move was clearly for post LeBron, because all the questions were, okay, they've done so much these past few years to appease LeBron. What happens when he retires or leaves? Now you kind of know. You're going to build around Luka, which there are some challenges there. Dallas ran into challenges putting guys around Luka to, I guess, gain the success that they had last year. But you would like to think of LA being a bigger draw than Dallas, so probably shouldn't be as tough. But we don't know. Like the future will kind of play
well,
out.
it
But
is
yeah, it was
now.
definitely
If it wasn't before, it is now. Considering all the
yeah.
BS and gaslighting and all of that nonsense the Mavericks front office has been up to.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Also, question for you, Brendan, since you are new. I guess who's your team? I mean, you might be a Laker fan. I don't know. I guess what sports you watch, like, I do like to kind of know about people who chat in here.
And uh, I do agree when he said that he thinking that the Lakers are hoping LeBron is gonna rub off on Luka wise.
Mm-hmm.
I'm like, that would be great, even though he didn't look like no 270 when he got off the plane, and he didn't look like 270
Right.
when he first put on the gold uniform. Just saying. But as far
Mm-hmm.
as discipline, I thoroughly believe that having LeBron is gonna help him a lot.
Yeah. I mean, look, is Luca ever going to be some, chiseled
No,
athlete? No. But could he take better care of his body? Sure. Like, we've seen him year in and year out show up a little out of shape, work his way back into it. Maybe with, LeBron, or even just being a part of the Laker organization and the history that comes with it, maybe he starts changing his philosophy or mentality in terms of showing up in shape. That way you can hit the ground running once the season starts and not have to play yourself into shape. Well, I mean, the Lakers have him. AD's hurt and is going to miss some time. So the Lakers still win, even with Luca not necessarily looking like old Luca yet. Okay, I'm a fan of the game. Following the team has been heartache. I get it. I respect that. But then I guess, who are your favorite players? Well, let's go with that. Who are your favorite players to watch? All right, so John, with the Bucks drama and about taking a wrong pill, you see the Bucks dropping from 5th to 7th or 8th spot.
I don't think they're gonna drop to 8.
Because that's
That's
the
the
Heat,
Heat.
and that's a 4.5 game lead on the
I
Heat
don't think
right
they're gonna
now.
be that terrible.
Right.
If they do drop, it'll be the 7th, the furthest.
Mm-hmm.
Because I don't trust any team after the Heat. And quite frankly, I don't trust the
Right.
Heat. And do we really trust the
Exactly.
Pacers?
That's the Pacers. Look, the Pacers early in the year were struggling, and people stopped paying attention, and they slowly have made their way back up to 4th. So I think the Pacers are interesting just for this reason. If Halliburton is right, Halliburton can score and he's great at facilitating. And they have guys there who make you think, in a playoff series, if you're not playing to your full potential, they could upset you. But then it's like, how much do I trust Halliburton in the playoffs, or Matherin or Miles Turner or these guys to, in big moments, show up and actually, you know, take a series over to eliminate somebody? I don't know. I mean, are the Pacers less trustworthy than the Knicks? Mm-hmm. Are they less
I'm
trustworthy than
like,
the Cavs?
mm, I yeah, because I don't trust neither one of them. Cavs need to show me something in the playoffs so that they're going one and done.
Mm-hmm.
Um, the Knicks, by the time the playoffs come around, their rosters are going to be fried. So no.
Mm-hmm. Pistons are
And
new to
then the
this.
Pacers. I trust more of a Pascal Siakam right now to do what he does when you need it to than I do Halliburton. Why is that?
Yeah, that's actually, yeah, not a bad point. Not a bad point. Let's see. Asked this a few weeks ago. You think Boston's still the best team? Now going by record, I have to think the Cavs are taking the spot and tied between OKC and Boston. Are the Celtics the best team
We
in
need
the
to do
league right
another version of our tiers too. So that's what that sounds like. We need to have a conversation.
now? Yes. Yes. Um, look, I think OKC are legit. Do I think they're
No,
invincible? No. That's where I think it's so odd right now. You have the Cavs and OKC that are atop each conference, but there's a little hesitation in just saying like, oh, they're the best team in the East and the West. I think there's more belief in OKC in the West than Cleveland in the East. But even out West, if you're the Thunder, you have the Grizzlies who are right there. Well, not right there because they're 8.5 back in second. But the Grizzlies have shown if Ja Morant and their big men are healthy, they're tough. Now, whether or not they can score enough or enough guys can score for them to necessarily make the Western Conference Finals, we'll have to see. But you also have the Nuggets right there, tied with the Grizzlies. Nuggets have been there, done that. Jokic is averaging a triple double. If case some of you may not know, and people are saying like Jokic is playing the best basketball maybe he has in the last like 4 or 5 years when he was up there as MVP candidate year in and year out. We just talked about your Lakers. They get Luka. You have LeBron. You have uh, Reeves and those guys. In a playoff run, who knows? Now, defense is obviously going to be the question with the Lakers, but some of these teams, you go on a stretch where maybe you were in a slump. Could the Lakers not just outscore you and put games away that way? Maybe their best defense will just be being efficient offensively.
I hate that.
I don't know. I do too. I don't think it's a strong way to win in the playoffs, but look, you got to kind of adapt to your personnel. Unless Jackson Hayes turns into Elijah one or something, I, you just got to rely on Luka and LeBron carrying the rest of those guys and getting them to play better. Mo Dean, what's going on? I believe you're new to the channel as well. Basketball's dead. They got to fix it. Games are just a 3-point shooting contest. I think games are more than that, but I get the narrative. I get the narrative. I'll say that. Now, Mo, are you a fan of a certain team? I would love to know who you're a fan of, because that might change the way I answer this. John says against the Hornets, Trailblazers, Pelicans, and Sixers. Hope he makes a triple double against them. Oh, okay, I guess you're talking about Jokic because I did bring that up. Hold out hope for LaMelo Ball. Collect the goats and numerous to the name. Includes vintage players as well. Okay. Because you did mention a little earlier that your hope is for LaMelo to go to a team with a shot. I've said this for a while. I
And up
just
here
compare
talking about
LaMelo to Trey.
basketball is dead.
Yeah. Oh, the Knicks fan. Okay. Okay. Well, look. Well, okay. I'm trying to think of the numbers wise. The Knicks aren't necessarily a team that just shoots a lot of threes, and that's kind of because they don't have that personnel. Okay, you're just used to Ewing under the hoop. I get it. Like you're a fan of a certain era of basketball. I completely understand
Now that
that.
you say that, I get it. I'm like, you're just used to.
Yeah,
Like I'm used to
that's why I was
seeing.
like, I want to get some more information from you, Mo. I can appreciate that, and I'll say this: I think Ewing is kind of one of the more underappreciated players of that era, only because he never made a finals, and it's like we only remember him for like the missed finger roll against the Pacers and like some of his shortcomings. Ewing was a legit big who gave you, double double on a nightly basis, and he did bring some excitement to that Knicks organization. I will say that. That's coming from a Celtics fan too, Mo. So you should be proud of
I'm a
that.
Lakers fan and I ain't in that.
They're just used to you got to do. Look, every era of basketball is going to be different. The same way that this 3-point era, it won't last forever because there's going to come a point where maybe teams find another way to win. The only reason why it's a 3-point league right now, Golden State was so good at it, everybody tried to mimic them. The Celtics went ahead, got players who could shoot the three, and then they kind of continued it on. And now we're seeing, look at Cleveland. They made Evan Mobley become more of a perimeter player because that's just the way it just works right now. Because even with the Celtics, it's like Tatum, Brown, penetrating to the lane, defenses collapse. You're not going to tell them to force up a runner in the lane when you have wide open guys out on the perimeter. So I think certain teams, it works. Yes, if I was a Wizards fan, I would hate today's NBA because watching the Wizards try to be the Warriors when they clearly aren't,
it's hilarious.
Doesn't make for great. Yeah, it doesn't make for great TV. Also, why you don't see them on TV a lot, but like, I get it. I definitely get that. That's okay. I'm willing to hear your point of view. Has the game progressed or evolved? But it isn't just a 3-point league.
Mainly, like to that, I would say mainly it has evolved to where the 3-point is more prioritized, but that's not the issue. The issue is these badly built teams, i.e., Washington, who are trying to run that. If you can't run it from outside in, go inside and work your way out. That's the biggest problem I have. You have teams who aren't built like that, who don't maneuver, who don't do the necessary adjustments to make the 3-point more efficient. Whether it's roster building, coaching, whatever, they don't do the necessary adjustments. Like if you know that you want to be one of these teams, and want to be efficient, you have to incorporate the 3-point. There's two ways: inside out or outside in. If you know that you don't have people who can just spot up and shoot from outside the arc, and that you need to do something inside the paint first and then make a kickback, maybe like how the Celtics do it. If you're built like that, then yes, it's okay to emulate. It's just the ones that aren't, who just have a whole bunch of guys or a whole bunch of people who do the exact same things, who try to do it and it don't work. That's the thing. That's what makes it so bad to watch, because people aren't they're just trying to copy, but they're not tailoring it to what meets them in their specific situation.
Absolutely. And yeah, because with the evolution of athletes, where they are bigger, they're stronger, jump higher and all that, I feel like this pace and space NBA can make for beautiful basketball. Because you'll see, Warriors or Celtics are one of these teams that have championship aspirations, have these possessions where they whip the ball around, create mismatches, attack, and kick. I can watch that all day. Where the game has regressed is just defensively, because there's only so much you can do now with these faster players, and because guys can now shoot from deeper on the court, you're now guarding way more of the court than you did back in the 80s and 90s when guys played in the mid-range or in the paint. So I think what the league needs to do, they need to allow these perimeter defenders to have a shot at actually defending. Because now you have guys who can take threes, and you're now limited in how you can contest the three.
Because they like to call everything.
Because if you land in somebody's landing space, that's now a foul. That was not a foul in the 90s and the 80s. So that's where I look at what they're doing. Hand checking. Everybody talks about bringing hand checking back. Hand checking gave guys a chance to keep at least the offensive players somewhat in front of them. Now in today's
Offensive
league,
players are gonna hate that they bring hand checking back.
I would love it. Who,
I wouldn't care.
and people who would love it would be like your Marcus Smarts, your even like Jimmy Butler type guys who like to play physical defense and kind of get up under guys. Because I'm sure you remember when you were like growing up and trying to play basketball, you were always taught defensively, like you sit in the chair, arms out to keep the defender kind of in front of you. Now, if you do that in today's game, guys just raise up to shoot underneath your arm and get foul calls that way.
Mm-hmm.
So that's where the problem is. You can't play defense on the perimeter anymore. Let's see. LaMelo Ball will be a Hornet. Will be like the Hornets' Kemba Walker. He ain't going anywhere unless Boston goes after him if they can't fit him in.
Why would
I think. Well, I'm assuming he's saying like a Boston type team goes and gets LaMelo instead of LaMelo just leaving. Did chuckle when the Warriors got Jimmy buckets. That I did too, because I really thought they're gonna get KD back, and then KD was like, I don't want to go back, and
Yeah, and this game, the game isn't necessarily as physical as it once was.
Mm-hmm.
And you know what happened? Why that is? You can ask LeBron. Ask LeBron why. Ask the king of the flop. Ask him.
Yeah.
Because he started this crap in 2010.
It's him, Harden, Trae Young.
My God.
Guys like that who got into the lane and almost to the point where they didn't even care if they made the shot anymore. They just wanted to sell some type of call to go to the free throw line. That's what kills me.
That was hilarious. That was an era of basketball that was abjectly hilarious. Because you could turn on your TV, watch the best player in the generational talent in LeBron James just act.
Mm-hmm.
And just flop. I'm like, are you kidding me? And then cry like he got hit. Headman LeBron was that era was.
I saw a play like that the other night. He went up for like a reverse layup. A guy was trying to contest it and like hit him on the top of his head. LeBron went down, and you would have thought he got shot in the head. I was just like, LeBron, come on now.
Yeah. And now you got CP3 teaching bad habits.
And the CP3 KD thing, where he's getting his face and then drags De'Aaron Fox between them. Like, I'm starting to realize CP3 is just unserious.
He's a net.
Which I get it. He's a small guy. And
once I saw Wemby tall ass flop, I'm like,
yeah.
I said, there's only one person who taught him how to do that.
Yeah.
Because he wasn't doing it last year.
Mm-hmm.
Now this year he gets next to Chris Paul, and here we go.
Yeah. Started after the three in Miami with Bosh, LeBron, and Wade. I hated those three so much. I didn't want to, but I really did.
You're a Boston fan. Of course you're going to hate the Heat.
Because I actually liked Wade, but then Bron got there, and I feel like he turned Wade a little bit. And I hated Wade, especially with the Rondo incident. Whatever. I'm not going to revisit that, but did the Celtics fan just compliment a Knicks fan? That's like, oh, blood. Okay. All right. It's not that serious, Damian. All I complimented was it wasn't really a compliment. It was just me acknowledging that hearing Knicks fans talk about Patrick Ewing, like you'd think he was just another guy. I thought he was a talented big. I mean, did he win at a high level? No. He was solid. Plus, I think Patrick Ewing was from the Boston area. So I think that's a little bit of gray area there, Damien. I'm from Boston. What's going on, Isaiah Rhodes? I guess I'm getting a thumbs down here. I don't know. That's cool. I mean, you took the time to send it. I guess we appreciate you for that. Mo said flopping league. Yeah, yeah. Look, the hope is the next generation, your Aunt Edwards and guys like that, change it a little bit. Let's hope. That's all we can hope for right now.
Because
Hope for
considering
greatness.
where they learned from
Mm-hmm.
and who they learned from, look.
That's what I'm saying. Somebody's gonna have to change it. I don't know who it is. Like
I thought it was gonna be Wemby, but then he get next to Chris Paul and start acting brand spanking new.
man, I don't know about Wemby. Like Giannis is a little different. Giannis doesn't necessarily care much for like opponents in that way. But then Giannis will do that and then go post game and just troll, and it's just like, well, we don't want players to start doing that now.
I don't take Giannis serious, so
That's the problem.
that's exactly what eliminates Giannis from me.
Yeah.
Talent wise, yes. Other anything else, I can't take him serious.
Okay, John has an interesting question. With the Wemby issue, who do we think can be the next superstar 4 to 5 years? Evan Mobley, I'm gonna say no. SGA, Ant, or do we think
Yes.
someone else?
Yes to the other two.
Yeah, you have a better shot with those two than Mobley. I don't think Mobley is that big of a name to really see him getting uh, to like the superstar level. I think Mobley's a talented player, yes, but I wouldn't look to him to be the next guy. So I guess since we agree on the other two of SGA and Edwards, who's more likely out of those two?
You know, I love him. He's a former Atlanta person.
Mm-hmm.
He's from Atlanta. I'm
Mm-hmm.
from Georgia. Um,
And has charisma. I give him
he
that.
has charisma. He need to tone it in.
Mm-hmm.
He losing a lot of money.
Mm-hmm.
I wish I made them enough money so I could just get fined out the ass and not worry about it.
Yeah.
John, the mainstream media won't.
And had a great quote the other night too, because they asked him about the dunk contest, and he was like, "I don't have tricks and stuff like that." He's like, "If you put somebody there and want me to just dunk on them, I could do that." And I think the follow up question was, "Would you dunk on Rudy Gobert?" And he just looked over at the guy, was like, "I'd bang on Gobert easy," and I was just like that's just hilarious to me when Ant is like that. The thing now is he's if he has like a postseason run where he makes the finals, I think that helps his case out a little bit more.
Well, Minnesota didn't do him no damn favors.
Right. I mean, Brendan's bringing up LBJ survived. I mean, we know that scandal. I mean, yeah, that'd be for another show. Is Maxi overlooked?
So no.
Philly's not doing Maxi any favors. Maxi
And
needs
I
to get
blame
out
Philly.
from Embiid. Embiid casts too big of a shadow on Maxi right now, and PG to some extent, but Embiid more so. I think the Sixers, if they're smart, you move on from Embiid. I don't know what you do with PG, but if you can convince somebody to take that on, hit reset, go with Maxi, go with McCain. You know, McCain's gonna be coming back from the knee injury, but McCain showed before the knee injury, like he was like a consistent 16 to like 20 per game scorer for stretches. Like build around those two and fill in through the draft the next couple of years. Because keeping Embiid, what's that doing for you? Now he needs another surgery. He's not getting any younger. He's already had a lot of lower body injuries. Like I can't bank on Embiid taking me anywhere in 2025, much less years to come. Tatum take the torch. Well, unfortunately, the media hates Tatum and fans on social media hate Tatum. I can't see that happening. He checks the boxes, but people just do not like him. I mean, other players, like, I don't know.
I'm
Like,
trying
people
to
bring up
think.
Ja. Ja was on that pace, and then he had that's the random summer where he kept getting in trouble.
Another reason why Ant can't damn be the face of the NBA. You know how many kids we finding out he have a day per
I've
day?
actually I've actually missed the news about him and how many kids he has.
A lot.
For real?
Look it
Okay.
up.
I honestly, like I said, I completely missed all that news. Tatum like a Lillard in the media. I don't think Lillard's necessarily disliked.
Lillard is Damian Lillard is just blunt, and a lot of people don't know how to take it.
Yeah.
If
Yeah.
Tibbs finds a way to get that roster hurt again like it did last year, I could see it. But no, no, because who are they gonna go and get? Darvin Ham.
Thing working for Tibbs is the Knicks years before him weren't like this. They weren't constantly, top four in the East. They weren't constantly thought of as a potential contender. So that will work for him. The only thing that might hurt Tibbs at this point, if we start hearing players talk about his regimen and how, he handles the team, we don't hear anything. So it seems like the guys are fine with it. It's just that they break down. And even much more so, like if Jalen Brunson came out tomorrow and was like, man, Tibbs just takes all our energy. We just don't have enough in the tank come the playoffs. Then people would start thinking about it. So I think Tibbs will still be there. I think the Knicks, probably win a round and then fade out in the second round.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, maybe if they were like swept by some lower seed, maybe, but I don't see that happening. Because right now they would be in the was it the 3-6 matchup, so it'd be Knicks Pistons. I guess if the Pistons beat them, yeah, Knicks fans wouldn't know how to take that. And that might start the process.
Yeah.
But look, definitely appreciate all the questions from you all. Love it. Like keep them coming through. Like I said, appreciate you, Mo and Brendan, as you guys are new to the show for coming through. Like I said, Isaiah just coming into thumbs down and not saying anything else. Like, hey, you tuned in. We definitely will take that. Also, those of you on TikTok, appreciate you as well. Um, let's go NFL now. Kind of end off the show because there was some news in the NFL. Yes, the Super Bowl already happened, but certain guys. We'll talk. Let's start with Zach Martin. We'll start with some good. Zach Martin decided to retire. So add that to the list of things that the Cowboys need in the offseason. Now they need to find an all-pro, all-world guard to replace him. But when you look at this, maybe this is me trying to be a conspiracy theorist. I don't know. Is it possible that the current situation of the Cowboys kind of forced Zach Martin into retirement?
Then you realize Dak is going to come back from a very from a devastating injury. He tore his hamstring off the bone.
Mm-hmm.
That takes time to come back from. Jerry ain't getting no older, ain't getting no younger and wiser. He's
Mm-hmm.
getting older and more senile and delusional. Micah's annoying. He don't have anybody outside of CD Lamb. The run game is, what the hell is that?
Yeah.
He's like, what am I blocking for? And I'm still hurt. What? He probably he probably didn't even see a light at the end of the tunnel. He was like, yeah, I'm all right. I'm gonna head out.
Mm-hmm.
Y'all be easy. I'm
Yeah.
going to Canton without ever going to a Super Bowl. That's wild. 10, 11-year Hall of Fame career, 7 Pro Bowls, 6 penalties in 11 years. He's gonna get a gold
That
jacket.
number might be the craziest. The penalties.
Exactly.
That's something. And yeah, I agree. Like I know the NFL is really kind of careful with like their first ballot Hall of Fame guys, but Zach Martin's going to test that. Like there's a chance he could be a first ballot, and like you just read off, he has all the credentials to be one. And kind of like what I started with, it just adds to the Cowboys list this offseason because now it's guard, maybe just offensive line in general. You know, QB maybe depending on Dak. You need a wide receiver. Everybody says they need a running back. You have Rico Dowdle, who had a good year, but we know Jerry. Jerry wants big name at running back. And then, oh yeah, looking at defense, like you got plenty of issues on that side of the ball. Oh yeah, you hired a coach that apparently nobody else wanted, so you got that to deal with. And Jerry wants to be the biggest celebrity, but hey,
They got to pay
as Dak
Micah. The
said,
safeties are too small,
they're close. Dak said they're
but they're
close.
close.
It's their time to win a Super Bowl.
No, we competed against them. If you really, we're close.
Mm-hmm. While the
That
Eagles are
has the
much
same
better.
energy as, well, if you take away the scoreboard,
Mm-hmm.
just some dumb, delusional.
Yeah,
What?
yeah, it's like I said, it must be them coping because their biggest rival, the Eagles, are a much better team. The team that they used to laugh at in Washington has come around and become a better team. And if they're not careful, that team in New York, if they could ever figure out the quarterback position, might be better off than they are right now. That's crazy.
John, I don't think the Bears need to go after Myles Garrett. They need to go after an offensive line.
Mm-hmm. Yes. But I mean, look, teams will go crazy for Garrett. But yeah, I agree. If I'm the Bears, you brought in Ben Johnson, offensive minded coach. Well, fix the offense for him. And defensively, they're not terrible. Like I feel better about the Bears' defense than their offense right now. Because now you have to, like I said, you have to upgrade the O line. Keenan Allen's probably gone. DJ Moore had a down season. Um, Dunze had a slow start. Kind of came on a little bit at the end there. So, yeah, I'd worry about upgrading the offense this offseason. I don't know where Garrett goes, but that's going to be interesting to see where Garrett ends up.
If the Browns decide to trade him.
I mean, if you're the Browns, you probably get more draft capital to fix your other issues because they have a lot of issues on their team as well. But how do they convince him to stay? Like, what do they need to do to convince Garrett to stay? That's probably what they need to figure out.
When you read his statement, it's like ain't no convincing that he want to go.
Right. Yeah. So they might as well just send him somewhere. Otherwise, if you force him to stay, he might just downright become defiant. Rams gave permission to talk to Stafford. They did. I thought that was a little interesting.
You already had to deal with one stinker in Deshaun Watson. Do you really want to deal with two?
If I'm Stafford, where would I be looking to go?
I'm trying to stay my happy-go-lucky ass in Los Angeles. Like what?
But yeah, the Rams gave him permission to seek a trade, which means the Rams are trying to get rid of him. Or
All
Stafford went
right.
to them, or Stafford went to them and was like, I might want out. And they're like, okay, go ahead.
He must want to go back to Detroit. He ain't slick.
What if he, what if, I mean, John, I was about to say, is he crazy enough to want the Jets starting job?
Can you imagine his wife? How insufferable she'll be if he's a member of the Jets? Absolutely not. No. Because she ain't going to shut the hell up.
Uh, I mean, yeah,
Nope.
that's interesting.
No.
Does this speak to maybe McVay possibly being on his way out? It seemed like
He's
McVay
losing.
and Stafford were like tied at the hip. If they're letting Stafford walk, has McVay maybe conveyed that he might not stick around too much longer or something? Like, I don't know. He almost left, what was that, 2, 3 years ago? We said, oh, I might go into TV or whatever, and then decided to come back. So he's already
That was
shown he might
after
have.
they were absolutely trash after selling out their soul to win a Super Bowl.
But
He
if
was
they lose
pouty.
Stafford, how I'm saying if they lose Stafford, how good are they going to be? I mean, we'd obviously have to see who their quarterback would be without him, but it's just like, you want Stetson Bennett?
Good luck. They trade Stafford away. Look, I'll take Stafford. You ain't getting no first
What would you
round
give
pick.
up for him?
A sixth.
I mean,
And Will Levis.
I mean,
Take both. Bye.
him and Rodgers swap cities. Like, I mean, I guess that might be a chance. But if I'm going to take an older quarterback on, I'd rather have Stafford than Rodgers.
Exactly. So if Tennessee is serious about trying to get a quarterback, just saying, ship Will Levis ass off in a 6th round pick and Traylon Burks and goodbye. Shin all three of them. All three.
I mean, yeah, because Stafford at his age, and he did have that like neck fusion surgery a couple of years ago.
Because I'm gonna draft a quarterback anyway.
Mm-hmm. But it's like, what's the best they could get for Stafford? I don't think a team would give a first round pick. At least I
I'm
don't.
not giving a first, second, or third.
Cause I was about to say, would a third be the most you might be able to get?
And I like 4th round picks.
Mm-hmm. But then, look,
Actually, yeah. The way I gauged them is perfect. 6th.
I mean, it just takes one team to offer something crazy. But yeah, now I got to add Stafford to the list of, Max Crosby, Myles Garrett, Matt Stafford, Tyreek Hill, like big name players who could potentially be on the trade block.
I think Tyreek stays in Miami. He rescinded all of that BS that he did.
I mean, he might have rescinded it now, but give Tyreek a month or two. He
Mm-hmm.
might be right back on it. Oh, here we go. What about that other team in New York? The Giants, him and neighbors. Let's talk about Stafford. that connection would probably push Dallas fourth in the division.
That it really would, because the Giants have talent. Evan
Yeah.
Neal aside, they have talent.
Hmm.
They're just poorly. I just hate them.
So that's fair. I mean, if I'm the Giants, why not?
I
Yeah.
mean, they don't even have a quarterback right now, so
Yeah.
why not?
So if you got him, you didn't have to give up a first or a second. If well, I would hope if they got Stafford, they don't do the Falcons thing and then take their third pick and draft quarterback as well. I would hope they wouldn't do that, but we don't know. But yeah, it makes that third pick something you could trade and get more picks, or I don't know, take I don't know,
Travis
Travis
Hunter,
Hunter or whoever you like. I don't know. Do they really need? Do they need a wide receiver or a corner?
yes.
Yeah. Also, Hunter, I guess, is designated himself a defensive back for the combine.
Yep. That's where he's
So,
gonna make his money at.
see, and I've heard people say like wide receivers will make more money, but he probably looking at it as physical impact on his body, only because he's not the one getting tackled. He'd be doing the tackling. Maybe he does figure that as a cornerback he'll stand out more than as a wide receiver. So
I think he's a
I
better
thought that
corner.
was interesting. I actually can't wait for the combine. Just for just for that guy who shoots up draft boards that always comes out of nowhere. For probably the guy who was like highly touted, who has a terrible combine and starts dropping down draft boards. Like that's the kind of stuff that I get intrigued by during and post combine.
Hmm.
All right, let's see. Last topic. This one is a bit of an update where we learned that the NFL is investigating one Justin Tucker from Baltimore. I mean, I don't even know if there's really much questioning here. Like, I think you and I have talked about it before. We would find it hard to believe, almost like Mike Florio, who came out was like one or two. If you hear a guy say they didn't do it, you're like, oh, okay, maybe. It's getting double digits now, so it's hard to think.
Almost
That,
20.
right? It was like it's hard to think that he didn't do it, and you got all of these women to get together and go, you know what? Let's take down Justin Tucker. Like, I mean, if that's what happened, like that's something that needs to be turned into a movie. So if you're Justin Tucker, what are you hoping best case scenario to come from all this now with the league looking into it? And is there any good way he gets out of this at this point?
No, because he's gonna get cut.
Right. Yeah, he probably gets cut, which I mean Baltimore can say like at the start of the league year we're gonna cut you because other teams have done that.
Well, that's my biggest problem with the Ravens. I'm like, why the hell have you said
Nothing.
nothing?
Mm-hmm.
That silence. I'm like, you're already known for having some questionable characters.
3 women spoke with investigators with another 2 scheduled. Total 16 was yeah.
Yeah, it's a pattern of predatory behavior.
Mm-hmm. And knowing this investigation, other teams are going to hear about it. So even if he was like, okay, Baltimore's just going to overreact and cut me, I'll go somewhere else. Other teams will just be
No,
like, no,
you're
we're
not
not going to.
Deshaun Watson. You don't play a quarterback position where some illogical, dumbass team is going to take a chance on
Mm-hmm.
you. You are a kicker. You are
Yep.
finished.
Yep. Yeah, we're not going to expose you to a new city
And
to,
he's already been struggling.
right. Last year, and after last year and this coming out, not the greatest timing. So yeah, this ultimately might be the end of Justin Tucker, the NFL player, which I'm sure there's large sections of fans that will see that and shrug and go, okay, cool.
I thought he was going to be a first ballot Hall of Famer
I
at the
mean,
kicker position, but I think that's about.
mm-hmm. Yep. And look, Adam Vinatieri wasn't first ballot. And Adam Vinatieri didn't have anything like this in his past. So, yeah. I mean, Tucker might now have to think, is this the type of thing that the people who vote on that may loom over him for his whole time on the ballot?
Mm-hmm.
I mean, yeah, this, yeah. And look, Deshaun Watson doesn't do him any favors either. Because the amount of the disaster that turned into and the headache it's caused Cleveland, other teams are like, we're not going to make that mistake again.
Exactly.
Okay. Well, I mean, that's all the
I
topics
just
we have.
think
Oh, go ahead.
I just think the silence of the Ravens is just absolutely
It's
asinine.
weird.
Because I'm like, why the hell aren't y'all saying anything? They've said zilch.
Right.
And considering that you have John Harbaugh, who, considering his comments during the whole Deshaun Watson thing,
Mm-hmm.
thinking, oh, our team is zero tolerance. Okay, Mr. Harbaugh, zero tolerance now. Where is the
Mm-hmm.
zero tolerance? Where is the zero tolerance?
Yep.
All that damn jaw jacking. Now it's time to put your feet to the flame and ain't nobody saying anything.
Mm-hmm.
That pisses me off. And
Yeah.
good for the Saints hiring stupid ass Staley.
Yeah. Like, I mean, Kellen Moore is getting his staff together. You know,
How
so we'll
ironic.
see. We'll
He
see if
worked for Staley
Staley.
when Staley was the head coach, and now Moore is a head coach.
Mm-hmm. Obviously, the Saints and Cap Hell will take 2-3 years to turn around. It may take more than that, but yeah, like it might take 2-3 years just to get out of the cap situation. Then from
But it
that
might take another 4 to 5 to really
right from
turn
that
it.
point, you got to start building up again.
Yep. But this is what you get when you keep kicking the can.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Okay. I mean, me and my like maybe ignorance or something. When I first saw like hired Staley, I thought Deuce Staley for at first, and I was like, oh no, it's that other idiot. Which I guess. I mean, if you're Kellen Moore, you're like, at least the Saints would probably aren't crazy enough to look to kick me out the door to give Brandon Staley another chance. Like,
Right.
well, that's a safe hire for him. But okay, like those are our topics. So now we always end the show the same way. If you're new here, oh, we'll get this in before we get to final segment. Time to let go of Kamara. You could probably have said that maybe 2 years ago.
Yeah. But they just gave him an extension, so
Mm-hmm.
they're
If there's a
not
way
really.
out, I would say yes. I would say
Yeah.
yes for almost any big name taking up cap space. Completely rip that one down to the ground. Because what are they at best? 8-win team hoping that's enough to be competitive in the division. That's not a play. That's not a way to live. So yeah,
They're lucky they're in the NFC South.
yes. Like I said, that's a division you can win 9-8, 10-7. So all those teams in that division will think going into next year they have a shot. That includes Carolina. If I'm
And
Carolina
they
and I
do have
go
a
Bryce,
shot.
yeah, because if I'm Carolina, I go Bryce Young showed us he can be a starting quarterback. We can take that off of our board of things to look for. let's go get some young wide receivers. Let's go get this, that, and the other. And we don't think the Falcons are like some juggernaut. And the Bucks are probably the best team in that division, but are they a juggernaut? No.
No.
Saints have their own issues, so yeah. It's the good and the bad of the division. It's what makes the division competitive, but it's also why none of those teams are going to win a Super Bowl anytime soon. So that's NFC South in about a couple of sentences. Good enough to be competitive.
Not good
Nobody's
enough
winning
to
it.
do anything.
Yeah. All right, let's get into our final segment, Final Burn. So if you are new to the show, this is the segment where Jory and I both take our parting shots at a player, a team, or somebody for something that they did that kind of annoyed us. So, Jory, do you have any this week?
No, because I kind of let one off on the Ravens for not
Yeah.
saying anything. So that'll count as my little burn.
Okay, that's fine. Mine was gonna be the New York Yankees. And once again, this is probably fueled from being a Red Sox fan. But the morning when I saw breaking news, bottom line of ESPN, official statement putting out that the Yankees are doing away with their facial hair policy, I laughed out loud because the fact that you need an official statement to turn back something as trivial and dumb as a facial hair policy shows you the bad way that the Yankees are in right now. The Yankees are coming off a season where they actually finally made a World Series, which they've been struggling to do for so long, only to be, beaten down by a obviously better Dodgers team. You go into this offseason, you lose the biggest acquisition you had in Juan Soto, who decides to go to the Mets instead of stay with you. That's the first thing that went against them. Secondly, you watched your biggest rival in the Red Sox go get probably the best starting pitcher that was out there in Crochet. Go get Bregman, who I guess you could arguably say was the best. I'm trying to think about it before I say it. Best third baseman that was on the market.
Mm-hmm.
And it's like the Red Sox have a lot of momentum right now, whereas the Yankees, it kind of seems like stalemate with them. Now, luckily, the Orioles lost some people, and I, I mean, John, I can get to that. Yes, I just found it funny that this facial hair policy, one, was still a thing, and two, needed to be officially stated as no longer being a thing somewhat, except for if you're going to have facial hair, as the statement said, must be well groomed. I don't have a problem with that. Because if I was running a team, I wouldn't want my guys out there looking crazy with facial hair. But yeah, is this what's going to change the Yankees' fortune? Probably not, because their lineup still stinks. It's Aaron Judge and a bunch of crossing our fingers and hope they overperform.
Yep.
Which gets them in trouble when they face better rotations in the playoffs. So I feel like we will probably be here again next year looking at another season of the Yankees not winning a World Series. Sounds like my little burn on the Yankees, but John, you did have a question because I figured this was going to come up. The Red Sox issue with Devers. They brought in a person to basically replace him at third, and now they're going to have to put him at second, Bregman. So the thing is that Bregman actually was a shortstop in college. Most college shortstops can play second base. That's not that big of a deal. He moved to third because Altuve was in Houston, and Altuve was seen as the better shortstop prospect. Bregman came out and said he'll play wherever, which basically meant second, which has been a black hole for the Red Sox ever since Pedroia retired. The only thing about the whole issue with Devers, I don't have a problem with Devers saying, I'm a third baseman, I'm not moving. He's still young. In his mind, he probably thinks DH is for older guys who can't cut it in the field. He doesn't want to tell himself he can't play the field. He thinks he's getting better. Once again, I have zero problem with that. I think the part of this that's going to be interesting is Christian Campbell. Christian Campbell is actually the whole key to this. If Christian Campbell shows in spring training that he's ready to play with the Red Sox, that now makes Bregman Devers an issue because Christian Campbell's going to play second base. Even though he could technically play the outfield as well. But I think for Cora and the Red Sox, they want Campbell as a second baseman to fix the second baseman issue. So if he's going to play second, then Bregman's got to play somewhere. And Bregman would obviously play third, which Devers doesn't want to move off of. And Devers can only be a DH, which he said he doesn't want to be. So that's where the drama would happen. But if Campbell still needs time in Worcester, Bregman's going to play second, Devers plays third. Nobody cares at that point. So I'm not ready to say it's an issue until Campbell proves that he needs to play every day. Red Sox should have went after Nolan Arenado. No. I mean, I like Arenado, but Arenado, I feel like he's showing his age very quickly.
And wait a minute.
Mm-hmm.
What is with these damn athletes saying I'm not doing this? What's going on with that?
Like I said, because Devers has been a third baseman his whole career, even with his defensive limabilities, he's been a third baseman. There's never been a question about taking him off third base. So now going on the outside, bringing in a guy, and then now the questions are being brought up. I think it's right for Devers' first inclination to be like, no, I'm not moving. I would probably feel the same way. But it might take some time in the season where he's like, I am kind of beating myself up over here at third. If I play DH, I just hit and I could, still make a lot of money, which he did just sign like an 11-year contract, but it's like he can still be productive as a DH. Now, the only thing is, instead of it being Bregman and Devers, it now becomes a Devers and Yoshida issue, which even though Yoshida is obviously lesser than Devers, but I don't think it's an issue until Christian Campbell shows he can play second base every day. Arenado, I like Arenado, but Arenado would be coming in to play first base, which means you have to move off Tristan Casas, who's younger, probably was worse defensively, but might be better offensively. So if they had gotten Arenado, I would have liked it, but I don't think they got the wrong guy. I think Arenado was always going to be the backup plan to Bregman. Nolan going to I'm about to say you said the Cardinals watch because he's actually in St. Louis now, but he does want out, yes, to the Astros. Okay. Yeah, supposedly some people thought the Yankees might get him. So I'd probably prefer him going to Houston because I just don't want the Yankees getting anybody.
Come to Atlanta. You can rejuvenate your career.
I'm trying to think where.
Actually, no, my roster's pretty full.
How about to say you have Olsen at first, who's probably better defensively than Arenado, even as good as Arenado is. And your third baseman is who's the third baseman? I'm about to say Arcia, but no, he's the second baseman.
I'm good. So I just realized what I said, John. My
John's
bad.
a Braves fan too. Yeah. Yeah, if I'm the Braves, yeah. Arenado, no. I think for Arenado, it was either Boston, it was either the Red Sox or the Yankees for him to get out of St. Louis. I think the Yankees are done, especially after they got Goldschmidt, which whether you would rather have Goldschmidt over Arenado, I guess that's Riley. Yes, I don't know why I couldn't think of it. Yeah, Austin Riley. Yeah, I'd rather have Riley at third than Arenado. So now, if Arenado wants to be your DH, even then I'd be like, no, I'm good. Yeah, Braves would have no interest. I think Arenado, it's Red Sox, Yankees, or probably like one of these teams that didn't get anybody. Like the Tigers. The Tigers wanted Bregman, didn't get him. Maybe, but yeah. There you go. Look at that. We got some baseball talk here at the end. But you know, Jory, you're becoming more and more of a fan of baseball.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, maybe that's something once the season starts that may come up a little bit more this season. But yeah, Ozuna's your DH. Yeah, I'd rather have Ozuna over Arenado. So there's really no fit for him. So it might get to the point where Arenado just might have to just be unhappy in St. Louis.
At this point,
Mm-hmm.
unless he wants to play the ultimate game of who want me.
Yeah, problem is, I don't know. The places that may want him, he may not want to go because they're probably not that good.
It'll be a reality check.
Mm-hmm. We'll see. Yeah, spring training is underway, which means the season is what, less than a month away from starting. Good times. Good times. Oakland will take him. Oakland actually isn't having a bad offseason. It's just that I'm still wrapping my head around that they're going to play in Sacramento for 3 years before they go to Vegas. They did Oakland so bad and created such animosity between themselves and the fans that they'd rather play at a AAA stadium in Sacramento for not just a couple months, 3 years before
Mm-hmm.
that state of the art stadium in Vegas is built. That's crazy to me. Like I feel bad for Oakland fans because now it's they've lost the Warriors, Raiders, and now the A's. Like that's rough. Uh, Tampa is actually going to play at a. I think they're going to play at a spring. I think they're going to play at the Yankees spring training facility this year because Tropicana took on so much damage. Which I
Oh
hope
yeah,
if
hurricane.
they rebuild that, please make it better. That stadium is awful. But yeah, they're going to play at the Yankees spring training facility if I remember correctly. Like that's because of like weather and stuff. Like the A's made this decision to play in Sacramento.
Tampa is in Tampa Bay, and Tampa Bay gets hit hard with hurricanes.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's also in like a weird part of Florida for like support. Because like if you think of sports teams in Florida, it's like okay, you got Miami, you got Orlando, which are like more attractive. Tampa's just kind of there. I mean, maybe if they change the stadium, maybe more people would go. I don't know. Like it's rough seeing the Rays if they make the playoffs in a half empty stadium for a playoff game. Like that's ridiculous. Pay off fans just to show up. I don't know. You got to do something. Can't be on national TV with empty seats for a playoff game. Crazy. All right. Well, I mean, that's all I got. Unless you got anything you want to talk about, Jory, or let them know where they can find you, what you're working on. Let them know.
I've been working on this video for about 2 weeks. Y'all, it's coming. Let me get past my birthday and all this other foolishness,
Hmm.
and it'll be released. And I do have an article about the Tucker situation coming out. And I have another one coming out as well.
Yes. Okay, so make sure you guys, if once again, those of you who are new and returning, in the description for the show, there's a link to our WordPress, I believe Tumblr as well. Go over there, check out our articles. Jory, like I said, she's working on one for the Tucker situation. Make sure you check that out when it's posted. The last one you did was a really good one as well. I did one on the NBA. I'm actually going to do another one on the NBA their All-Star weekend. My thoughts on that. So look out for that one. We'll say early next week, Monday or Tuesday. We'll say, but yeah, we're trying to be more consistent with the articles. So we do have some up there, which, like I said, would be good reads for you guys. We'd obviously love to know what you think about our articles. So leave a comment or something like that under them. But yeah, I mean, for me, you can find me chopping at the bit. You guys know, or other shows here on the network. Like I'll be back on here Tuesday for On the Ball. Yeah, we're kind of going to start getting into NFL offseason and all that kind of fun stuff over there. So yeah, appreciate all of you. Like I said, those of you who are new, hopefully you come back next week. So, like you find us Friday or Saturday. Kind of depends on our schedules, but Friday or Saturday we usually are live around 8 o'clock. But if you are on YouTube, hit the notification bell. That way you'll be notified when we do go live. We would love to see you all back here next week for another great edition of Passion and Precision. So for myself and Jory, enjoy the rest of your night, enjoy the rest of your weekend, and we'll see you next week. All right.